This is a demonstration on how to find the correct setback for your estate swing gate opener. First, we're going to demonstrate for pull to open operation. This means your gate opener is on the inside of the property, and as it retracts, it pulls your gate open towards the inside of the property. All of our gate openers that are estate swing brand have different setbacks, but finding the setback is the same for all of them. I'm going to demonstrate using a 90-degree setback for an ES Allegiant gate opener. Using the correct degree of opening setback template is very important. If your gate is opening 90 degrees, it is important not to use the 110-degree setback card. Use the 90-degree setback card. Of course, it's obvious if you're trying to open 110 degrees, you wouldn't use the 90 degree, but it also is true if you're trying to open 90 degrees, do not use the 110 degree. To start, let's understand what this setback template is. Notice that it says 7.5 and 7.5 inches. This is a measurement from this point to here of 7.5 inches and this point to here of 7.5 inches. We're going to start by placing this point over the center of the hinge of the gate. On this particular post, our hinge is centered and is approximately this far out from the center of the gate. This point we are going to center over the hinge of the gate. Now, this doesn't mean you have to place this directly on the physical hinge of the gate. Imagine a vertical line that is drawn from the hinge of the gate going all the way up parallel to the post. You want to put this in line with the center of the hinge of the gate. On our example, our hinge is centered and is about this far off from the face of the post. Once this is on the hinge of the gate, then this line here will be perpendicular to the gate in the closed position. Now, this is very important because not everybody's posts are lined up so they're flush with the gate in the closed position. Some people's posts are askew because of the way their property is designed. This setback has nothing to do with the angling of the post. It has everything to do with being perpendicular from the gate in the closed position. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to change this gate's closed position to be askew from the post. Now, the hinge of the gate, presuming it is still that far off, will be right here. The gate in the closed position is here. This is perpendicular to the gate in the closed position. Notice it is not relevant to the square of the post. It is relevant to the gate in the closed position. Okay, we've returned our gate to the original closed position. The other position was for demonstration. We have this point centered on the hinge and this line perpendicular to the gate in the closed position. This line will then lead out to where you will put your hole in your boomerang bracket. This boomerang bracket can be cut down and modified to fit. The L-shaped brackets can go on the rear face of the post or on the opposite face of the post from the gate. The L-shaped brackets do not matter as long as they hold your boomerang bracket in the correct position so the hole in the end of the boomerang bracket is lined up with the end of this measurement. So in this scenario, we would most likely mount the L-shapes on this face of the post. I'm going to use a smaller setback now that we use for the 1000D. The smaller template for the 1000D I have lined up the same as the other one, perpendicular from the gate in the closed position, then over behind the post. But this point now can be achieved using the back face of the gate. So the L-shapes can go on the back face of the gate, and we can cut down the boomerang bracket significantly and mount it on the back face of the post. Either one is your option, just as long as the hole in the boomerang ends up on this point here. Now that you understand pull to open, I'm going to demonstrate push to open. Push to open is when your gate opener is on the inside of the property and it's retracted in the closed position, and as it extends out, it pushes your gate out away from the property. In order to do this, the gate opener's body actually has to sit inside of the driveway. For the setback, It is still the same setback that you would use for pull to open, just off in the opposite direction than you would for pull to open. So this point we're going to set on the center of the hinge of the gate, which is approximately right there. This line is still perpendicular to the gate in the closed position, but this line goes out towards the driveway. Your boomerang will get used almost in entirety. The hole still ends up over this point, and leads back to the post, where you will attach it using the L-shaped brackets onto the post. The third thing we wanted to demonstrate with finding the setback for your estate swing gate opener is what to do if you have brick columns or very, very large posts. It comes into a challenge for some people that have columns that the setback card, if placed correctly, will actually lead you inside the post. So if we put this, imagine that we have a gate on this hinge that's mounted to this column that comes off this way in the closed position. So this line is perpendicular to the gate in the closed position, and it makes a turn. Well, unfortunately, the end of this is inside of the column itself. What do you do in this scenario? One, you could notch out your column to allow this line to be placed properly and have the gate opener body fit at an angle to the gate in the closed position. Two, you can move your bracket towards the back so that way it can fit, and we'll show that in a second. Or three, if it allows space on your driveway to push your gate out away from the property instead, you could do push to open. You might not have planned on this, but this might be the best solution for you. Remember, when you're doing push to open, the first line goes perpendicular from the gate in the closed position, and our imaginary gate is like this. The second line goes in towards the driveway, not back behind the post or column. This means you will never have interference with your setback on a push to open installation with a post or column. So a lot of people with brick columns with a lot of space to the back face of the column have to wind up doing push to open. So in this scenario, the measurement would first come perpendicular to the gate in the closed position, then out towards the driveway. And then you would put your boomerang bracket so the hole's lined up, and mount your L-shaped brackets on the back face of the column. Or if you have a smaller setback, you can actually use the inside face of the column like that. If you have the ability to move your hinges towards the back face of the column, or if you're just planning mounting your gate now and you have the option to mount it wherever you want on your column, then it is best to situate this taking into account the setback of your particular estate swing gate opener. So if you can position it towards the rear edge of the column instead of centered on the column, now we have our imaginary gate coming off the column this way. It's off-centered towards the inside face of the column. We have our standard setback for the Allegiant gate opener. It's coming perpendicular and then away from the driveway. Now we can fit the boomerang bracket on the rear face of the column. This method would allow it so you wouldn't have to notch out your columns and you wouldn't have to do push to open.